Good afternoon. Thank you for coming. Welcome to SUA TERASIA. TERASIA, which stands for Theater for Traveling in Age of Isolation, is a groundbreaking collaborative project initiated by artists across Asia. This creative project started in 2020 as a way to respond to the worldwide challenges caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Selamat siang semuanya. Terima kasih atas kedatangannya. Selamat datang di SUA TERASIA. TERASIA yang merupakan singkatan dari Theater for Traveling in the Age of Isolation atau teater untuk berkeliling di era isolasi. Adalah proyek kolaboratif revolusioner yang diinisiasi oleh seniman-seniman di seluruh Asia. Proyek kreatif ini dimulai pada tahun 2020 sebagai cara untuk merespons tantangan global yang disebabkan oleh pandemi COVID-19. TERASIA started from the question, is it possible to co-create internationally without physically crossing borders? Now, we are here to bring this idea to life through SUA TERASIA, where all the member artists will gather in one place. SUA means gathering or encounter in Indonesian. TERASIA bermula dari pertanyaan, apakah mungkin untuk berkolaborasi secara internasional tanpa harus melewati batas fisik? SUA berarti perkumpulan atau pertemuan dalam bahasa Indonesia. Sekarang kami hadir di sini untuk mewujudkan gagasan tersebut melalui SUA TERASIA, di mana semua anggota seniman akan berkumpul di suatu tempat. We have the interpretation function available for this session through Zoom application. So if you have not downloaded yet, please prepare the Zoom app in your phone. To access the meeting, please scan the barcode that has been given to you upon registration. And to listen to the translation, please use the earphone and go to the setting to mute the original audio. So the original audio from the theater here is audible. In the Zoom app, you will see a globe icon appearing at the bottom of your screen. If you are on the phone, you can click on the 3 dots on the bottom right corner of the screen. Once you click on the globe or on the 3 dots, look for the interpretation button and choose your language. If you are an English speaker, click English to listen to the interpretation in English. When speaking, please make sure that your language is in line with the channel that you are in. Also for internet connection, you can connect to the Wi-Fi in this room with username router beranda theater, and the password is TUK with capital letters, TUK 68H2022. All capital letters. I will repeat the password of the Wi-Fi and also the username. The username of the Wi-Fi is router beranda theater, and the password is TUK with capital letters, 68H with capital letters, 2022. Kami menyediakan fitur penerjemahan untuk sesi ini dalam aplikasi Zoom. Jika kawan-kawan belum mengunduhnya, mohon siapkan aplikasi Zoom terlebih dahulu di handphone masing-masing. Untuk mengakses sesi ini diharapkan untuk memindai kode barcode yang telah diberikan saat registrasi. Untuk mendengarkan terjemahan, dimohon untuk menggunakan earphone dan pergi ke setting atau pengaturan untuk mute original audio sehingga audio teater akan dapat terdengar. Kawan-kawan akan melihat lambang bola dunia di bawah layar. Jika kawan-kawan menggunakan telepon genggam, kalian bisa mengklik lambang 3 titik yang ada di kanan bawah atau di atas layar Anda. Setelah mengklik lambang bola dunia atau lambang 3 titik, silakan pilih bahasa Indonesia. Dan nanti ketika berbicara, pastikan kawan-kawan gunakan bahasa yang sama dengan channel bahasa Anda. Tolong berbicara dengan tempo yang tidak terlalu cepat, Dan jika memungkinkan ketika menggunakan singkatan, mohon dijelaskan juga kepanjangan dari singkatan tersebut untuk memperlancar proses penerjemahan. Untuk koneksi internet, kawan-kawan dapat mengakses Wi-Fi di ruangan ini dengan username router beranda teater, username router beranda teater, dengan kata sandi TUK, huruf kapital, TUK 68H2022 semuanya menggunakan huruf kapital. Jadi Wi-Fi di ruangan ini username-nya router beranda teater, kata sandi TUK 68H2022 dengan huruf kapital. We are excited to inform you that today's session will be moderated by our moderator, Yustian Shah Lesmana. For Mastian, the floor is yours. Sesi hari ini akan dipandu dengan moderator kami, yaitu Yustian Shah Lesmana. Untuk Mastian, silahkan mengambil alih.
Oke, good afternoon, selamat siang, menjelang sore. I will speak in bahasa. Saya akan berbicara dalam bahasa Indonesia. Perkenalkan, apa semua sudah terhubung dalam mode interpreter? Are you already connected with the interpreter mode? Oke. So, saya akan berbicara dengan bahasa Indonesia. Perkenalkan, nama saya Tian. Saya akan menjadi moderator di sesi roundtable 1 selama 2 jam dan kita akan membicarakan 2 tema. Tema pertama adalah site specific performance dan remote collaborations. Selamat datang Tamimi Rujita dari Jakarta Selatan. Silakan duduk, silakan duduk, silakan duduk. Santai saja, tidak yang terburu-buru. Kita punya 2 jam di sini. Kita bisa santai sambil menikmati juga memberi kesempatan buat teman yang berada di jaringan lain menerjemahkan seluruh proses pembicaraan kita dengan tempo yang pelan. Jadi 2 jam ini mungkin kita akan santai dan pelan-pelan supaya semuanya bisa meresap di telinga kita masing-masing. Oke, kita punya 2 sesi dalam pembicaraan roundtable 1 ini, site specific performance dan remote kolaborasi. Untuk ini, saya akan mengundang teman-teman saya dan seniman-seniman dari berbagai negara di Asia. Yang pertama Maho Watanabe, silakan, ini dari Jepang. Yang kedua Narumol Tamapruksa, maaf kalau saya salah menyebutkan. Kita panggil mereka, biasa dipanggil Kop. Yang ketiga Kak Irwan Ahmed, biasa kita panggil Kak Iwang, silakan. Oke, terima kasih sudah menyempatkan waktunya. Can you hear me? Oke, terima kasih sudah menyempatkan waktunya dan bergabung dalam roundtable ini. Kalau agak ketinggian, oke, kita bikin nyaman atau kita bisa improve kalau kalian mau membuat diri kalian nyaman di tempat duduk. Oke, mari kita sambut pembicara kita. Saya akan perkenalkan satu persatu pembicara kita sore hari ini. Yang pertama ada Kak Maho Watanabe. Kak Maho Watanabe, Maho-san adalah penerjemah dan dramaturg yang bekerja dalam dan seputar seni, media, dan kerja humanitarian. Pada tahun 2014, selama periodenya di luar negeri, di tepi barat sebagai mahasiswi program studi Arab, ia bergabung dengan sutradara Yukari Sakata dalam Rashomon, Yabu no Naka, sebuah co-produksi teater dan seniman-seniman Jepang dan Palestina. Ia menandai keterlibatannya yang pertama dalam seni pertunjukan, disusul dalam beberapa proyek kolaborasi internasional, festival, dan lokakarya. Terjemahannya atas Lilak Duha, is correct? Lilak Duha. Lailak Duha, mati di era IS oleh dramawan Palestina Ganam, memenangkan Oda Shima Yushi Award untuk terjemahan drama pada tahun 2019. Ia berperan sebagai dramaturg untuk produksi orisinal TERA pada tahun 2018 dan pada Mei 2020 turut serta menginisiasi TERASIA dan dengan COP di Thailand bersama para seniman lain. Ia seorang fellow Asian Culture Council 2022. Maho Watanabe. Teman kita yang selanjutnya datang dari Thailand, Narumo Tamapruksa, correct if I wrong, COP. COP adalah seniman pertunjukan dan seniman Aikido, wow, atau bela diri dengan minat khusus pada isu-isu sosial. Ia memotret pengalaman sang penampil dengan mengembangkan teknik yang disebut pengisahan autobiografis. Teknik ini mengisahkan cerita-cerita tentang pandangan sang individual atas masyarakat yang sejalan dengan dunia masa kini sembari memotret bagaimana sang individual ditindas dan bagaimana yang lain terimbas oleh penindasan. Selain drama, ia juga tertarik pada gerakan nonverbal termasuk mime, tari modern, dan penggunaan topeng. Sang sutradara mendobrak tradisi lama atas dinding yang dibayangkan memisahkan penampil dari audiens. Sepanjang pertunjukan sesekali ia mendesak audiens agar tidak terbawa oleh cerita-ceritanya. Ia menggunakan bahasa simbolis untuk mendekonstruksi dan mengkonstruksi ulang. Saat ini ia seorang pengurus Peace Culture Foundation yang bertujuan membangun budaya damai dengan mempromosikan non-kekerasan melalui aktivitas seni, sosial, dan praktik Aikido. Ia berharap aktivitas ini akan membantu menyemai cinta, welas asih, empati, dan keberagaman demi masyarakat yang harmonis. COP. Yang ketiga ada Kak Iwang. Saat ini Irwan Ahmed tengah mengerjakan proyek jangka panjang terkait gejolak geopolitik di cincin api sebagai wilayah paling rentan bencana alam dan sekaligus dihantui dampak traumatis kekerasan. Ia berselancar melalui proses mobilitas sebagai medium utama untuk berpartisipasi dalam program residensi dan penelitian lintas disiplin serta mempresentasikan ekspresinya di wilayah-wilayah yang paradoks. Irwan ingin mencari jawaban atas kegelisahan-kegelisahan dalam cakupan planet terkait eksistensi manusia melalui cara pandang evolusi serta memproduksi pengetahuan melalui seni dan realitas terkait ketidakadilan, kemanusiaan, dan ekologi. Oke, sejak 2018, Irwan Ahmed secara berkala melakukan ziarah utara dengan cara berjalan kaki di sepanjang garis pesisir utara yang berdampak pada sensorik tubuhnya tatkala dihadapkan pada tsunami antroposentris. Situasi kemiskinan nurani atau ruang masa depan yang tenggelam dalam lautan manusia berwatak industrial. Untuk kemudian kembali menziarahi titik-titik tertentu di mana secara intuitif ia melepaskan jangkar jiwanya. Wah, mantap. Menuangkan intervensi ekspresi kegelisahan terhadap kenajisan yang setia melekat pada tanah, air, dan udara. Selamat menerjemahkan. Oke. Itulah para pembicara kita, tepuk tangan sekali lagi. Oke, kita akan mulai pembicaraan kita di sesi yang pertama, di site specific performance atau site specific practices. Ketiga speaker kita hari ini, seniman ini selalu atau pernah atau sedang melakukan praktek-praktek site specific di karya sebelumnya atau di karya yang sedang dan akan dilakukannya. Untuk itu kita akan meminta mereka untuk berbagi, bercerita pengalaman-pengalamannya, pengetahuannya, perspektifnya, dan bertukar satu sama lain apa yang bisa ditukar dan apa yang menarik dari perbedaan dan persamaan kerja satu sama lain. Untuk itu saya akan memberikan waktu untuk mereka mempresentasikan. Dari pertama yaitu Kak Maho Watanabe untuk silakan mempresentasikan apa yang sedang kamu kerjakan. Silakan Kak Maho. Please.
Yes, now I'm caught up. Hello and thank you for joining here in person or on Zoom. Could I show the slide, please? Yes, thank you. So as my site-specific practice, actually I will focus on TERA and TERA in Kyoto. So the two productions that us TERASIA team in Japan has made so far. I won't talk that much about TERA in Tokyo because it's right after the screening. But maybe to to introduce why, or the why part of why we did this site-specific performance in a temple is actually it was our choice, but we were asked, or Yukari was asked, to do a site-specific performance, or actually any kind of performance but outside the theater in the city. And Yukari chose a temple. And from here, it was more of a temple-specific performance. TERA, as you probably know by now, means a temple in Japan. So this version was in Tokyo, in a certain temple, in a certain district in Tokyo. And also it's important to note that Japanese Buddhism has very many different sects, so to say, or schools. And so this temple was part of the Jodo Shu, or Jodo sect, as we call it. And maybe I will explain a little bit in comparison to TERA in Kyoto. Can we see the next slide, please? Yes, so for TERA in TERA, the original version in Tokyo, I can name a few of the site-specific elements that was in the performance. The method we used was to combine existing texts to the site or the history of this temple. And by saying that, I mean, for example, we had conversations or interviews with the monk, of the priest or the monk of this temple. We also had him performing in the sutra scene. So a lot of the text was written based on what he told us about this particular temple and his vision of how to make this temple, because how to make this temple an ideal temple in his vision. In the TERA original version, for example, we talked about, or Mitsuko, the protagonist, talks about a graveside bar. And this was actually an idea that the actual monk had. So we tried to reflect those elements from the priest, from the temple, and also from the area. Also talking about the sect, it was important for us what the Buddha statue here in this space is. So different temples in Japan have different deities that is the center of the temple or of that space. And the sutra and the relating text that the performers talk about was all related to the Buddha statue in this particular space, which was the Amitabha in English. Yes, maybe we can go to the next one. Yeah, TERA in Kyoto, since we're not going to screen for Suwa this time, if you could see the teaser for 1 minute.
京都の街中で愛情たっぷりに育った光り輝く苔の森、その奥にある竹やぶの影のお話。テラという意味でこれから長い詩を語りますから、どうぞ皆さん覚悟してくださいな。みつこの部屋、眠れぬ夜を過ごすための配信、いつものネハンドです。
temple was our second production, which was in 2021. So it was 2.5 years after the original Tokyo version. And to note the site-specific differences between Saihoji Temple in Tokyo and Koshoji Temple here in Kyoto. For example, the sect of Buddhism is different. So here it's Zen Buddhism. And to put it in a very broad way, it's much more stoic than the sect of the first temple. And I think from this visual and teaser, you can see that we, through this process of reincarnating TERA from Tokyo to Kyoto, we took out some scenes and added completely new ones. And if you see the mask that the musician Kyojun Tanaka is wearing, this is of a Jizo, or Jizo is also it's not it is one of the deities, so to say, in Japanese Buddhism, but not as high rank as Buddha, if that makes sense. And this Jizo came up as a character in our text here because of the actual Jizo statue of this space. So this space was called the Nirvana Hall, Nehando in Japanese. And so because we moved to a completely new temple with completely new teachings or different sort of priorities of what they prioritize or what they cherish in their temple. So yes, this is maybe one of the site-specific elements that we pretty much had to break down all of TERA in Tokyo and start from scratch because, of course, the monk is a very different person, very different personality. The monk in this temple did not perform in this version. And if I still have time, I think this is the last point I want to mention is I think in our creative process, actually before the creative process of TERA and TERA in Kyoto, negotiating with the temple and the monk about, first of all, whether we can perform here or not and what we can do here or not is, I think, a very big part of the creation. For example, in this temple, our team is based in Tokyo, so we can't really go to Kyoto every now and then, but we went on a few scouting trips. And actually, me and Yukari, I think we have visited maybe nearly 10 or so temples throughout Japan as scouting for TERA, but only 2 productions have come into being. For this Kyoto temple, in order to explain to the monk what we want to do and to have his approval to use the space, we participated in their Zen meditation sessions, the Zazen, the sitting Zen sessions that was being done in this temple every morning, actually, from 6 and 6:30. So yeah, me and Yukari, our director, when we were in Kyoto, we kept going to this Zen session to show our presence and interest in what the temple cares about and what they think is important in their practice. And after this Zen session every morning, the participants of the Zen meditation session, which is mainly the people living in the area, so they clean the garden or the street around this temple. And this was also a way for us to engage with the people who come to this temple often and how they see the temple or the monk, and also, yes, to contribute, so to say. So yeah, this, I think, process it was impossible. It's impossible to do a theater production where it usually isn't done. Yeah, I think maybe I should mention just in case that these kind of theater pieces, to do them in Japanese temples is not easy or common at all. Yeah, it's not like we use a nice temple building to do jazz music. That is kind of common. But what we did in TERA was to really engage with and question the teachings or the social or the very specific context that the temples are in. So yes, I think from me for now, that's it about TERA and TERA in Kyoto. Thank you.
Oh, oke, baik. Terima kasih Waho Watanabe. Thank you, Maho-san. Satu presentasi dan penjelasan yang sangat baik sekali. Kita melihat perjalanan TERA Tokyo dan TERA Kyoto dan bagaimana keduanya berbeda dan bagaimana perbedaan itu kemudian didekati oleh teman-teman di pertunjukan TERA. Kita akan pindah ke pembicara kedua selanjutnya, Kop. Ya. Oke, you can.
Okay, my turn.
Ya, kita akan pindah ke Kop. We will move to you and please present.
Thank you. Can I have my slide, please? Thank you. This is sort of our poster of TERA in Thailand. You see the word TERA and TERA. TERA means monk. When I first heard the word TERA, so I thought, oh, very interesting. So we thought about having some kind of critical ideas about the monk in Thailand. That's our original idea, but it turned out different way because of site-specific things. Okay, let's look at the next picture. Next, please. And then when we trying to find the place for the performance, at first we went to one temple in the city, which is our idea was about having online, because how to say, on site at the same time we want to do online performance as well. So we try to find this temple in the city, so where we can send out through the internet the performance. But the problem was that temple became, I used to work in that temple before. I put the World Festival of Sacred Music there in the year 2000, and they were very helpful, and it was very beautiful and big event. But all at the sudden, not at the sudden, like 10, 20 years after, they said no. So unfortunate. But anyways, the monks there helped me to find another temple. I think very similar to what Maho said. It's not quite easy when we want to perform in the temple. So we need to talk to the monk and negotiate with them. So finally we got the Wat Palat, and the abbot also very supportive. And he is also very modern kind of person and very helpful. So next, please. So when we first come to the place, what we need to know is to learn about the space, what they are and how they come from, and how we work with that space. So next, we do a research about the space. Next, please. This is a picture of the performance, but we trying to understand the specific place in those environment and how we can move around with the dynamic of the space. So we try to understand the pattern, floor pattern of the temple, and each building's history. Next, please. And then also we need to understand relationship between the objects, why they put this here and there, all the sculptures, all the objects and statues and stupa. Because most of the temple in Thailand, we built it with the cosmos, cosmic, how you call, universal concept, cosmos concept. So it's quite similar. So we have to understand and work accordingly to the space. Okay, next please. And of course, it's non-traditional performance setting. And also we have to understand symbolic of the space as well. For example, from that, the previous picture with the two statues. So that's a statue of the Nolasing. Nolasing is half lions and half human. So you see the bottom is a lion, and above is humans or gods. When they put those two statues in the front, it means the entrance through separate from the physical world and spiritual world. Once you step in, so you become another soul in the another space, and you will see the bridge there, the bamboo bridge. In the Chinese traditions, so people believe that when you die, you across the bridge, and then some people will give you tea to drink so that you can forget all your past memory, and you will reborn as a new person. So we make use of that in our play as well. Okay, next please. And also we have to learn about the story of the temple. For example, this is the main hall that we use for the performance. So the front, you see the front panel, the peacocks pictures, and the back is the rabbit's picture, resemble the sun and the moon. The story of the sun in front and the back of the building, and also inside the main Buddha called Pra Un Muang, means warm city Buddha. So he looks to the east of the temple, looks through the city of Chiang Mai, because it's on uphill, so he can see the whole city from this space. So it's like he protect the Chiang Mai city. So that kind of story, so we put in our play as well. Next, please. And also, we try to relate to people who live there. So we interview the monk, the same with TERA in Tokyo. So he took us around and showed us here and there. And also, we even asked him to pray in the performance as well, same with TERA Tokyo. Next, please. And also, we see the potential of the space and try to reinterpret what this space means to us and how we can convert it into something meaningful. Next, please. And also, we try to understand the whole thing, even just the star on the ceiling, there are some meaning. All the things, the objects that they put, the single little one that they put here and there, also there are some meaning, and we put in the play too. Next, please. And then, once we try to study the space, we try our way to relate to it. Next. For example, the Naga stair. So we put the story of the Naga in front of the stairways. The powerful Naga that destroy the whole city because people become sinful, something like that. And also it's related to earthquake. So once the Naga destroy the city and the city collapsed. But in the history, so they also found the city under the sinkhole. So they assume that the story of the Naga in the old time may not just a tales, but it would have some kind of memories that remain in people's memories, and then they tell to each other up until now. Next, please. And also, not just only the Naga story. So we try to find different story that related to the space, like the story of the bird of paradise. When we talk about heaven, especially heaven in Mahayana Buddhism, they are also talk a lot about the birds. So we put the birds in the play. Right. Next, please. And we also trying to have dialogue with the place, try to feel what the place talk to us. For example, we see the poles. You see the pole in the 4 directions, right? And then the outside the area, outside the pole are kind of empty area. So we try to make use of those by doing performance in 4 directions. And also we use the wall to project the screen as well. And we found some story that we add to the place. For example, the story of the cat who went to heaven by Elizabeth Cuthbert. And she talked about the cats, and then we also found the cats there. Next, please. We found the cat in the temple, for real, like the tricolor cats. So we put him in our play as the last picture. Okay, next, please. And also we try to make use of the artists because I base a lot on storytelling. So I try to get people to tell their stories. And Sonoko, our actor, she also, she is a meditation teacher. She is a Buto dancer, and she is also Sufi meditation practitioner. So we make use of those knowledge of each person. Next, please. Like this one, you see that she does Buto dance in front of the temple and solo the Sufi dance inside. And this is also the way we try to negotiate with the temple as well, because the Buto is sort of dance of the death somehow, and it's look like fearful and scary to normal Thai people, especially the monk. So when the passer, people who pass by see we rehearse on the space, and they give comment to the temple like, oh, this is not proper. She shouldn't do her headstand and put her feet up to the sky in front of the Buddha. Okay, we take it out. Yeah. And then, oh, they shouldn't do it inside the building. Okay, we put outside the building. A lot of negotiations. But the Sufi dance is more like a meditation. So they feel okay for us to put it inside. Next, please. And also the musician. This is what we also try to adapt from the original versions because in TERA Tokyo, the musician not just only play music, but they perform as well. They ask 108 questions, and also they talk to, they have dialogue with the audience. Next, please. And also, Grom, he's a traveler, and he was a Tibetan monk before, so we get a lot of his story and to tell in the play. So the artists, not just only their body movement, but their story and their world will, so we put here. Okay, next please. Okay, that's it, and we will talk about this later, about the TERA. Yeah, thank you.
Oke, terima kasih sudah diterjemahkan. Ya, tepuk tangan untuk Kop. Kita langsung biar kita bisa mengelaborasi dan mempercakapkan banyak hal atas kerja-kerja site specific performance. Kak Iwang, silakan. Kita langsung menuju ke Iwan Ahmed untuk mempresentasikan pengalaman dan prakteknya di kerja-kerja site specific yang dia lakukan.
Should we talk in English or bahasa?
It's up to you. English okay.
Okay, I try. Huh? I try to speak English, so to be more a better appreciation to all the speakers. Yeah, actually, when the pandemic comes and life change, some parts makes me crazy, but the other part, it makes me happy because this is the first time I can make something else for myself. I think after the Reformation period in Indonesia and in Southeast Asia, in regionals, the fever of working together, community and collective, it's like too much. I like it to work in a big groups, but in the long term, it makes my soul weak. So when the pandemic comes, that's time. Let's do only for myself. So and my exploration start not with not learn from humans, but yeah, yeah. Thanks. Play.
Yeah. Next.
Next, yeah. So start on something very small. I cannot see the puppet show, but there is a puppet move by the ends. This puppet is like interpretation. What is the body? What is the dead? And then what is collaboration? Why all these ends working together? What is purpose? I think this is saying lead to different experience, how the possibility that moving without we cannot control ourselves completely. Next.
Next.
And in terms of this, also I want to explore the challenge the body because as an actor, as an artist, the body experience perhaps one of the most sacred. It's almost like a temple. And I took my body to very kind of non-human conditions. Next. So I jump into the high content of irons and the minerals. It's specifically this condition, it will happen in near the volcanic areas. So you see my body turning into soda, like Coca-Cola. And my body smells change, but in the same time, there is such kind of a pleasure feeling. I am being alone and hugged by the earth. This feeling, it's like makes me more find out what is the aesthetic and what is our roles and even what is art. And again, the pleasure to being alone. I'm so excited because next, the way I collect things for the forefront also completely changed. For example, during the pandemic, the numbers of the people live in the house produce so much garbage. And the numbers of garbage, it's like unbelievable. So it's reached the maximum levels, almost like a mountain. So in Jakarta itself, it's already over limit. And for me, this is maybe something that I can use for my performance. Of course, I cannot convert the smells. Maybe it's hard. Online, so far, I cannot transform the smells. But the story is maybe still delivered. So this is my the property huntings to find a costume for my performance. Yeah. In this kind of space, I mean, there is no COVID, there is no pandemic because the people, they are too busy to survive every day. It's maybe they know there is a pandemic, but it's hard for them to believe because there is no point to believe how you wash your hands, how you keep a distance. And let them suggest what kind of costume perfect for my body. So, yeah, well, even after that, my body get itch for 3 days. But again, this kind of limitation to meet humans lead me to something else. Next. Up. Next. No. I took a long journey travel, try to find a very deep archaic residue in our bodies. I mean, I appreciate what you guys working with monks, but in my case, I work with monkeys. Next. So this is, I took almost 3 days on the bus, going from Jakarta with my partner and kind of trying the body limits, and then very far away from the reality, and then try to go to the very deep forest in the north part of Sumatra. Next. Of course, it looks beautiful, but again, this is not for humans. There is so many things that I cannot understand what the forest works. Maybe I'm better living in the city than in the forest. But in the forest also, there is something touch me as a human being. There is an emotion transformed. There is a love. There is kind of a gesture that already missed because we have so many restrictions during that period. The mothers really taking care, and there is a problem to give breastfeeding to the babies. I think today looks animals much more pleasure than to see the conflict in humans. And another things, rather going to the galleries or to the art space, as going to the zoo, it's my hobby. It's just like a temple. Zoo, it provides such kind of information. And for example, this old gorilla named Kasa, 40 years old, he is the one only male gorillas in Jakarta. And you know, gorilla is a very social creatures. They have to live together with others to have a balance. But what happened when he lives alone? Old, sad, but in the beautiful island. There is a food, there is a guard, but there is no meaning, purpose of his life. So I feel relate with Kasa. And sometimes he jumps like crazy. But deep in our emotion, I feel there is something that we can understand without the language. So later on, this kind of practice influence my performance, for example, in terms of the language or bodies, or even how to express the gesture of the depression. And this is the gesture of angry. Next. So yeah, like Tian said, my project is always kind of very slow. Like last time I took a bus for 3 days, and this is, I took a walk for almost 3 weeks in the north part of Jakarta, who facing the climate catastrophes because the land subsidence and the rising of sea levels. By walking, that's such kind of a possibility to live in between the cities, the coast, and the sea. Next. And I also encountered different kind of performance or different kind of sacred rituals. The kind of bloody relation between species. But what is the possibility for to interweaving in this kind of situation? For example, in the same times, because the new things come to Jakarta, in the same times there is new sounds or new things come, but also many things disappears. Story disappears. The machine is getting more and more, and the mythology also change. And in some part, they start to, the gods, the roles of gods, it's fading out, replaced by the new gods. Next. In this kind of contemplative feelings, I made this poor pigtail macaque. I think this kind of specific monkey, but she is not monkey. She is a pigtail macaque. They also live in Thailand, We call it Baruch. This Baruch is traumatized, taking over since the baby in chains, and then she ate everything, come to his place. And I decided live with her for 5 days. So I become spectacles. I become a performance with these monkeys. And we learn each other that we have to build a trust between me and these magnificent creatures. But in the same times, I also witnesses such difficult life of people who facing a very difficult situation. For example, this girl is almost death. She's drowning. And the situation between life and death is so close. Somehow it's kind of, I can see an angel or the God in that feelings. But in the same times, I discover many stories, for example, how humans trying to hard become a god. There is a human try to make an artificial island, like a god. So this very expensive project, considering will save this mega city of Jakarta. Yeah, next. But look at in the daily people life. They're facing such kind of very segregation. So in this position, what is art means? I mean, what is the roles of actors? Am I right going work with them? What is the value that we could create a collaboration with them? And again, I decided to collaborate with this community. Even I really hate to do collaboration work. Every time I had a meeting with the people, I curse myself what I'm doing here. And unfortunately, the working together with people, it's never disappointed me at the end of the day. And also, we create the memories. The memories will soon disappear in our city because the city changed rapidly. And the climate will give a different face to the coast of Jakarta. So after so many negotiations, I convinced the people to do the one-time performance to sing the boat. And this is not easy how to convince them to sing the boat. But it's not only to sing the boat. After the boat drowning for almost 9 meters below the sea level, we want to lift up the boat again. And this performance is impossible to see by the others. This performance only create their own memories, their own possibility to work together. I mean, among this, there is a kind of also conflict. There is a kind of mistrust. But when they're facing this emergency situation, there is no way. They have to work together. So this moment, I feel this is a truly collaboration. Sometimes maybe I enjoy this not nice collaboration, but this collaboration will work beautifully only ephemeral, only for temporary. Yeah. And after that, life start back again to normal. And we start to fight each other again. So after we succeed to sing and raise up the boat, I got another bad news. So next. The monkey was gone. You see the condition is not really happy. Somebody told me the monkey it's maybe died. But her face is haunted me. The next time I came to her cage, it's an empty, and nobody there. Maybe nobody give her a food, and nobody give her medicine. So, but in Southeast Asia, especially in Java, we believe we have also monkey of God. And they're very sacred, but what we have done to the monkey today. So to answer this question, we would like to meet the god of monkey, but some people say the god of monkey live in the mountain, but unfortunately the mountain also demolished. They use the mountain for mining. Next. So then I decided to talk with the god of the monkeys in the volcano. Again, this is like not human condition. It is too high sulfur. All my equipment become rust in an hours. So I have to wearing special, and the skin also get burned. But again, yeah, finally, I managed to give offering to the god of monkey. Yeah, next. So it's gonna be new works. Just a little bit advertisement, but thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Irwan. This is your presentations next month? Next events, okay, in Jakarta. Okay, can't you come back to your chairs, please? Oke, terima kasih. Jos, kenapa ketawa Jos? Lucu ya? Ini bahasa Indonesia. Terima kasih Maho, Kop, Kak Iwang atas presentasinya. Semua presentasi sangat menarik. Kalau Anda sudah kembali kepada mode interpreter, terdengar? Oke, baik. Kalau kita merujuk pada tema roundtable kita, site specific performance, dari ketiga pembicara kita hari ini, tentu kalian semua memiliki penilaian apa yang sama dari kerja dan pendekatan mereka atas ruang, atas site spesifik tersebut gitu ya. Dan juga sekaligus melihat apa perbedaannya. Di antara itulah kita akan kemudian membicarakan itu lebih dalam gitu ya. Misalkan bagaimana kita melihat satu hal yang selalu menjadi bayang-bayang hubungan antara situs, lokasi, tempat, space, dan pertunjukan dan performance itu sendiri. Yaitu posisi kita sebagai seniman. The artist position in theirs. Between the space and ya antara pertunjukan dan tempat itu sendiri. Itu hal yang juga menarik bagaimana kemudian kita melihat selalu bahwa pertunjukan yang berlangsung di satu tempat yang spesifik, dia selalu terbebas dari dia tidak terisolasi pada satu disiplin tertentu atas staging, gitu, atas satu disiplin pemanggungan tertentu. Gitu. Dia selalu memiliki kesempatan dan kebebasan sekaligus di dalamnya untuk setiap seniman kemudian memilih pendekatan dan caranya menggunakan seluruh perangkat kepekaannya, menempatkan dan menaruh seluruh ornamen atau elemen yang ditemukan pada tahapan dialog kerjanya. Saya ingin ingin bertanya pada teman-teman bertiga, bagaimana sebetulnya kemudian kalian misalkan bernegosiasi. Saya tadi mengambil satu kata kunci yang juga muncul di setiap orang, negosiasi. Itu buat saya sangat penting untuk melihat dan membentang bagaimana sebetulnya dia proses yang menawar batas-batas itu sendiri. So, negosiasi juga menawar batas-batas. Nah, saya ingin kemudian bagaimana teman-teman sebetulnya bercerita tentang pengalaman negosiasi itu. Kemarin tadi malam ketika kita nonton pertunjukan TERA in Jakarta, Kop bilang bahwa di Thailand mungkin akan sulit untuk bernyanyi rock di kuil, gitu ya. Tapi di sisi lain, Maho dan Yukari juga melakukan proses negosiasi untuk sampai bisa bernyanyi rock di kuil. Ini hal yang menurut saya menarik untuk bagaimana setiap seniman bercerita tentang itu dan bagaimana batas-batas antara ruang diri kita sebagai seniman dan pertunjukan itu sendiri dia bisa kemudian kita sadari batas-batasnya. Silakan siapa yang mau menceritakan dulu? Please. Okay.
Thank you. I think that sometimes the boundary is not obviously seen. It's just like blur, and we have to be very sensitive of that because we don't know what we can and what we cannot do. So being respectful and also observative and sensitive to the space and people also very important. Because sometimes as an artist, I have my idea, like I said earlier, like, oh, I want to do this and this and that. And then finally we found out that, okay, when people said, that's mean no, right? But sometimes they don't say no right away. We just like, So we have to observe and try to feel their feeling. Not just only people there, and also the space as well, because some space have its own history, and if we go without understanding of the space, maybe it causes some disrespect, and people would see it as we too ignorance. So. Yeah, I think working with people with the site-specific is not just only the space, but it's community. And community mean people, mean many people, all ages. Yeah, and I think we need to concern on that too. But I don't mean that we have to let those things to bound us. That's why negotiative word, very important, right? How much that we can do. It's not just only, okay, this is what we cannot, so we bound ourselves. So we have to push them a little bit. So many times that we have to discuss with the people or in that space, like if we can do this and if we shape it in this way, can we do that? So yeah, I think very flexible, have to be super flexible. Thank you.
I really resonated with what Idwan was saying about, at one point when we try to create things or do collaborations in, so to say, unconventional communities or spaces for art projects, we were at one point we were like, why are we doing this to ourselves? Like, why did we get us into this? I think there were some temples that we scouted. On our first visit, the very young monk of that temple they loved the idea, they jumped onto it, they were like, okay, let's do it. And we thought, no, it wouldn't be interesting if there's no negotiation or no sort of tension between the space or the host and us. There wouldn't be anything interesting coming out. So that was one of the temples that we said, let's not do it there. Yes, so I guess the negotiation of boundaries, we have, as Gop said, we never can expect what will happen in those situations. So we need to adapt each time and be somewhat strategic. But I think the bottom line is that first we obviously have respect for how the dynamics of that space or community is working, and we as outsiders, want to intervene in a way that does not disrespect them. But I think the interesting tension arises when we put elements or we put things that they shared with us in ways that they would not expect. Or, for example, in Kyoto, the monk had a YouTube channel, which he started during COVID. And he probably didn't think we would watch all his episodes, but we watched some of his episodes and turned one of his YouTube sermon into a song, a new song. And that very absurd costume also was inspired by a song we made out of his sermon. So although probably he would not firsthand support the idea of doing that kind of music in a temple, to turn it into something really different. And actually we're talking about him, he understands how much time and research and creativity we put into making that. So I think those are the interesting moments of negotiation or creating, pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, I always find a problem negotiation with a society. I think society today it's very absurd. So and also there is a numbers of the hierarchy. It's very hard to understand, and sometimes this hierarchy it's push the outsiders, including us. So, but I think I not underestimate the imagination. For example, in my experience with the monkeys, so can you imagine someone sleep 5 days with the monkeys? They eat the same and I don't take a shower, so my smells become similar with her. And we build the trust and everybody think you are crazy, so what are you doing? No, I just want to understand. We are traumatized primates, so we will learn each other without the language. And then after 5 days, people come and see different to me. And I said, I represent the monkeys, that I will negotiate with you, and they listen to me. So I think monkey is more effective than human to do negotiation.
Ya, ini menarik ya. Saya ingin bilang gitu ya, dari seluruh peta kerja sains spesifik gitu ya, misalkan dari satu pengalaman produksi social production gitu ya, produksi sosial yang ada di dalamnya, arsitektur, sejarah, dan batas-batas atas semuanya gitu. Lalu kita kemudian menempatkan diri kita sebagai satu hal yang cair dan bernegosiasi karena kita ingin masuk ke dalam satu environmental yang ingin kita bangun gitu. Tapi sebetulnya juga pada saat yang sama, in the end gitu, dalam karya kita sebetulnya sedang mengintervensi. So, negotiating for interventions. Ya, di karya kita sebetulnya kita sudah mengintervensi gitu. Kita sekaligus mengintervensi tempat itu, sosial produksinya gitu, lewat ide, imajinasi, gagasan, karya yang kita ciptakan. Itu satu dialog yang menurutku satu hal yang jadi penting kita hadir. Tanda kita hadir di sana itu kan sebetulnya produksi atas ide dan estetikanya. Dan itu yang kemudian satu hal yang deal di awal sama banyak hal, tapi harus ditempuh dan dilalui lewat metode dan macam-macam pendekatan. Kalau Kak Iwang tidur dulu sama monyet misalkan gitu selama 5 hari, Maho ikut zen setiap pagi gitu. Itu selalu ada cara-cara yang berbeda ketika seniman memasuki tempat, memasuki batas, bernegosiasi pada batas, bernegosiasi pada seluruh elemen yang sebetulnya ingin kita capai, tapi juga sebetulnya kita ingin memasukkan elemen diri kita ke dalamnya. Itu hal yang menurut saya bentangannya menarik sekali dari kerja-kerja semacam ini, yang barangkali patternnya, polanya dia bisa jadi sama, juga sekaligus berbeda ketika kita berhadapan sama satu tempat yang unknown, yang bahkan mungkin kita belum pernah. Karena saya percaya setiap tempat punya elemen masing-masing, setiap tempat punya lingkungan, unsur, simbol, objek, apapun yang sangat beragam, dan kita dituntut sebagai seniman untuk memasukinya dengan cara yang sangat kreatif. Nah, saya ingin menarik teman-teman untuk melihat kerja ini sedikit lebih luas dan lebih lebar dari praktek yang sudah teman-teman lakukan. Tapi bagaimana teman-teman kalian melihat kerja semacam ini sebetulnya sebagai satu metode yang sebagai pengalaman bisa diceritakan, dan ini bukan cuma soal bernegosiasi, tapi bagaimana kita meletakkan diri kita di satu tempat, meletakkan diri kita di kerja-kerja semacam ini. Ya, tadi Kak Ewang membawa kita ke satu hal yang jauh, hutan yang nggak ada manusia di dalamnya gitu. Gimana menempatkan diri kita pada sesuatu yang katakanlah tidak bisa dilihat sama siapa. Itu mungkin kalau kita udah bisa punya sistem kendaraan yang murah untuk pergi ke Mars dan ke bulan, itu mungkin satu hal yang juga menarik ya, lebih menarik gitu ya, karena itu satu hal yang juga belum dijelajahi. Tapi di lingkungan yang terdekat, menurut kita hal-hal yang kecil juga penting untuk kita sebagai seniman, karena kita katakanlah berada dalam satu modus kerja situs yang spesifik, dan bagaimana ya kita menempatkan diri kita di dalam itu semua. Mungkinkah bisa dibagi? Bagaimana kalian menempatkan diri kita di situasi itu?
I think most of the process for us, I mean, with my partner, we don't know what we want to do. In the beginning, it's always rough, and there is no such kind of projection, because we work with people, and we work with volcanoes, and how you want to control the volcano. Can you stop? And I want to climb. So this kind of things are outside our control. I think it creates such a nice possibility. So in that sense, we have to really believe with our bodies. We have to put ourselves in a very vulnerable situation sometimes. And there is a risk. But when I learned from orangutan, they took a risk at least one a year. So for example, why orangutan they not go to the ground? Because there is a tiger. But orangutan cannot eat salt. There is no salt on the fruits, on the leaves. So they need such kind of minerals to generate the digestion. And that's why once in time they go down and took a risk. By take the risk, there is possibility for this orangutan to live longer, instinctively. So it just inspired me. I think maybe a risk, it's an important factor.
Okay, thank you. So saya akan memperkuat pertanyaan saya dari satu kata kunci yang tadi dimunculkan sama Kop sebetulnya. Kata kuncinya adalah dari semua analisa dan pemetaan Kop misalkan di Kuil di Thailand, Kop memunculkan how we connected with symbol, with object. that's my question. How we connected with that situation? Ya, silakan.
Thank you. I think there are two words in this kind of situation. It's to be alienate or to be cooperate. I think like if we go to some space that we haven't been before, some place new, some place that we are not familiar with, of course. So we feel alienate with that space. But how to fit in with the context, how to understand the area and how to make sense out of it. So we have to immerse ourselves, sink ourselves into that context, in that environment, like Maho went to the meditations or something. So we have to understand where they come from, we have to understand the history of the space, the context of the space. And of course, because of the temple is some kind of special place where it's kind of sacred, and at the same time, it's the place to lift up the spirit. So very respectful. So we have to approach that space differently than other kind of space. So if I work with some empty house or abandoned houses, so I would treat it different way. But working with the sacred space like temple with the monk living in, so we have to kind of approach like under, not to go like over. This is what I want. This is how I want to do it. So we have to go and listen to them first, to the story of the space and to people, and then we can find a way to fit in, find a way to make sense of the space and the people there. And of course, sometimes, like you said, it's dialogue. Something that we offer, make them feel like, oh, they haven't seen this kind of aspect before. So it's like conversation. So they receive new things from us, but at the same time, we learn from them. In many level, I would say, like in the aspect of spiritual aspect, of course. So we learn so much on that, and also the environment aspect as well. So we learn about the how the space related to nature, how it become one with nature, with the philosophy of Buddhism, less electricity, no internet, or kind of living the traditional way of life like in the old time at the foothill. So that kind of thing is very inspiring in a way. So like I just want to say like to immerse ourselves into the space. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Maho, you want to add something? Okay, thank you. I will invite you guys to join these conversations. I think George Marcy is like so many words something, and like I think like he have 10 questions. Yeah, please, if you, I want to like open the Q&A and like join these conversations. Ya. Perlu pakai mic. Perlu dong. Emang suara kamu besar ya?
By the way, thank you very much for everyone who shared the process of the stories and the practices. Such specific performance always intriguing. I'm not oftenly practicing such specific performance in my works, but it's always interesting to see how the space, the site, the spatiality are being considering within the practices. And this is, I found a rich perspective about how we including the space. It's not just about the narratives, the construction, the objects, but also the non-anthropocentric centrist perspective as well. I mean, it is makes me aware much more about how we works as a huge mechanistic of the way we are living, coexist with many aspects. It's not really a question that I want to point out because I need to formulate my question as well. But I think I sort of like thinking about the words, the speculative, because I think when we work in the site-specific performance, there is this, it's not neutral, the space itself. I mean, whether we work on the temple or the performance happens in temples or in the volcanic area or somewhere in the market or in the coffee shop here, there's always this speculative outcomes. There's an X factor that could happen any time, and I think that's what makes the performance have a textures. The possibilities is always there. I mean, inside the black box or in the proscenium stage, is a very conditioning space, I believe. And which is brought me to other keywords that I just wrote down. The risk, the factor of the risk also brings the intimacy, because to reach up to that point, I think the main process that we need to do in the site-specific performance is the recognition of what's going on, or what is the performativity of the space, how we locate ourselves. I think that's also one of the most important part, how we locate ourselves within this constellation of event, was happen or happen at the moment. And I think, yeah, I just want to point out, I have no idea how I put a question like that. And I think it's not a question, I just want to pointing out some of my notes. Yeah, or maybe I'm a bit curious because there's a site-specific practices, I mean, it's something that always redefine itself, I believe. But the way that we interacting with peoples, with animals, with environment, do you guys have any thoughts about how, when we locate ourselves, how we keep, I mean, there is always these parameters of ethic, and how we, the negotiation, I believe, also push and pull within this area of ethics, how we not just subjected to the ethics, but also to pushing the boundaries, what we thought or what this communal thing as an ethical situation. Because I believe ethical, the ethics itself is something that works within the dynamic of the society, and then it's not always perfect. No, so there's always this negotiation within this ethic issue, I believe. Do you guys have any preference coming from your experience, perhaps, that you could share? I think maybe that's the question. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's too long. Thank you.
Thank you very much, George, Marcy. Yeah, please, if you want to, like, also share.
Yeah, thank you very much. Maybe I'll just say something general, and then you guys can follow up. Obviously, like the ethics in site-specific projects, or when you are going into a foreign community, so to say, it's very basic and fundamental. You know, I think it didn't come up that much in our conversation, because I think the common thing about the practices we mentioned today is the power balance, or the dynamic, so to say, us as artists are in no way privileged or the more powerful against the space or the venue that we were negotiating with, especially for us. If it's a temple, it's a religious establishment versus independent artists, and so in that in this power balance, I don't think we should. No, I don't think. There's not much risk of us being sort of like the imperialist or like a colonizer coming into a new community. So that's maybe one thing that it was more about us trying to somehow struggle into a big, seemingly rigid place and trying to shake a little bit the boundaries so we can do something new. So, yeah, I'm not answering your questions, but maybe you can, take over from there.
Well, I think it's a very difficult question, and also today, for example, who claim the genocide, for example, and it's a very bias, and society also get a very easy become polarized. But I mean, a human, it's always fear, but by the things that not real. So I'm start to afraid how ethic at the end it's like who have this kind of measurement, because there is no except, for example, I never try work with the religions. I think in here it's gonna be very bigger problems working with religions, but politician works very openly with the religion. So maybe this is time for artists also start to we will have an election, so don't get that wrong. But at least my experience when I step as one only human stepping on baby volcanoes. So what happens there? Actually, there is no ethic. If you're talking to the landscape, no morals. I mean, look at tsunami. How many people died? There is no moral. There is no ethic in the name of nature. Law of nature is brutal. But when I'm standing there, I become represent human. If you're going to the Mars, for example, you represent human being. What things that you will carry is only humanity. The other part of the body is just biological factors. We just like flesh, blood, and bones. But I think the humanity maybe have a very special today. And I think a very close relation, but this is a very philosophical question, hardly to answer, but my experience to carry as a humanity represent on that one island, it's a very, how can I say it, makes me think deep about the human existence. I think ethic happens in the very problematic situation. It's gonna be create such invisible walls for creativities. But and the ethic also now it's very absurd. Like depend who behind that and who play with this. If we're talking about religion is a fiction, for example, or we're talking about politicians keep changing all the time. But maybe this is time to see even more real things that influence our daily life. For example, what is ethical beyond the artificial intelligence who controlling us? So I think it's a very interesting question. Maybe if we're going more this addressing more into the not the visible things, but what things left in our mind every day and what makes us make a decision. And ethic now, I feel become very rare and very precious. I'm afraid soon ethic will go.
I don't have much to say. Just thinking of the temple has so much etiquette, so much rules, do's and don'ts in the temple already, and we have to behave certain way. But at the same time, when we talk about site-specific work, it's not just only working in the temple, but when we work with anyone, like I said, it's not about the place, but also people. It's also community that we are going to represent. Especially the artists, like Maho said, sometimes we come with a big idea, this is what I want. And sometimes we force our way through it. And of course, we can get the work done. We can have such a wonderful art, but it's harm all the people there. So it's hard to say like what the ethics of doing this. Like we might be, yes, come back to the word sensitive again. That we are going to represent the work. If the work is about me, so I think we have to consider like maybe that's not the way that we work. Of course, work with place may be okay, but work with people, maybe we need to consider, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I also not really expecting like a concrete answer because I believe it is something sort of like fluid. I don't know. I'm imagining and it's the dynamic. I believe which is very uncertain. Let's say, and I think what Iwang said just now. The bodies, the humanity attributes facing the gigantic power of volcanic. It's also I'm imagining the question of ethical within those situations. Like if it takes those human to human relationship, what left? Then I believe that also site-specific performance is not just about taking everything in as in materialism things, but also to experience beyond the materials, the higher power, let's say, God, deity, the energy itself. Yeah. I don't know. I just, it's rich, yeah, it's interesting, and it's good to not answering everything, but just to keep adding the question, I believe.
Thank you. Thank you for untuk respon dan poin catatan dari dan bahkan pertanyaan dari George. Ya, jadi catatan buat kita dan ya saya pikir ini elaborasi yang baik soal tadi ethics dan segala macam karena Iwang bilang soal ya gimana ngukur ethics kalau kerja sama vulkano ya gitu. Ya di titik itu nggak ada etik misalkan gitu ya. Tapi di kerjanya Kop dan Maho ketika dia masuk ke dalam konteks yang established gitu ya, kuil, temple gitu. Di sana ada etik dan kemudian jadi barangkali etik itu adalah satu ukuran yang selalu datang dari ya bisa human and human, tapi dia selalu datang dari satu ukuran yang ya dia selalu punya ukuran yang datang, dia bahkan bisa berbeda dari satu orang dan orang lain. Jadi kayak memandang kuil aja bisa berbeda. Jadi ya itu selalu depends tergantung pada norma yang berlaku dan background gitu ya. Diukur daripada keadaan. Aku pengen ngomong gitu. Dia etik itu selalu diukur dari keadaan. Dari keadaan tertentu sesuatu atau seseorang atau ya itu selalu muncul dari keadaan. Oke, ada lagi yang mau gabung, join untuk kasih catatan, kasih poin, pertanyaan atau kekusan? Yes, okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much for interesting presentations. I'm Kaku. I'll joining the roundtable tomorrow, and it's yeah, hearing your presentation and talk and Q&A was so inspiring, and I'd love to continue the theme and topics tomorrow. But one question from me. I love, even for me, I love site-specific projects or presentation creation. But on the other hand, I have worked for a long time in a theater, non-site-specific venue. And my question is, how do you think, or are you interested in creating the works as non-site specific work, including white cube or any art specific site or venue, or you are not so much interested in such kind of venues or special places, and you usually interesting and want to create in a site-specific works? That's my question. Thank you.
Yeah, let's go start. We have like only 5 or 7 minutes to answer and closing this roundtable.
Okay, I can go first, sorry. As a theater artist, I work a lot in all kind of space, including conventional theater space, black box, trust theater, arena, all kind of things. Site-specific is also one that always challenged me, so I like doing that. And because I teach theater in the university, at Chiang Mai University, so I also challenge my student as well, because the framework of the theater student always in the black box like this, or in the conventional stage setting. So how to push them out through this door to work outside is kind of scare them. So very interesting question that you asked to bring me back to the black box room. But yeah, I love working in this kind of room too. Thank you.
Yeah. My answer is yes. I think there are also things that can only be done in theaters, and maybe that's partly because I'm also a translator, so I work in translations and adaptations, and there are things that you practically cannot do site-specific. And to just give one example, I translated and sort of produced a documentary theater about Palestinian political prisoners in Israeli prisons, and the original play was also created as theater, not a film, because it's impossible to document by filming, because no cameras can go inside the prison. So this is, I think, like a very good example of things that can only be reconstructed and shown to people in theaters. So in those kind of examples, yes, I'm still interested in black box or neutral spaces.
Yeah, I think the power of storytelling is always mind-blowing for people. And humans are really kind of have capability to have imagination, and even this doesn't matter what kind of situation. So I think the core of the storytelling is an important element. Once the core is important, it doesn't matter. They have context or not. If I see people crying in the theater, of course, there is nice actors, there is such kind of beautiful lightings or beautiful costume, but sometimes people also crying in the ordinary cinema. like watching a very Korean drama, for example, in front of the families. So I think that's why the imagination has always strong relation with the storytelling, and this is very makes me confident. It doesn't matter. It works everywhere. Even if we are sleeping, the dreams keep touch our imagination strongly after we woke up.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
I have a little bit to add. According to your questions, I think the main objective of creating artwork is the ideas of presenting the work itself, and then we will look for the space. I think space come after, like, okay, this space will fit with my ideas, and then what kind of space? Because sometimes, in my school, not many space for them to work with, so students have to kind of trap themselves in only the lab room, and they just think only inside the box. That is why they couldn't go out yet. So I think if we can start like a research, right? We start with the problem question before, and then we find the technique or the solution to solve. So I think the space is the way to solve the problem of the ideas. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay,
In that
thank
regard,
you.
like TERA is
You
the
wanna-
opposite, right? Like TERA is the first assignment is you do it in a temple. So it was the opposite. It wasn't idea first, so to say, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Before closing, I have one question because I want to like touching also the remote collaborations. But yeah, this topic I will like only one questions, and please answer. During COVID, we know and we feel how we like ourselves is like can be mediations in Zoom, right? And also like mediatizations or also like intermedializations. Like we touching our hair when and looking ourselves when we talking with somebody. It's yeah. In that situations, yeah. Also, we know about the remote collaborations, work from home. What kinds situations in arts of remote collaborations during COVID? I know it's not really come up in COVID about the remote collaborations. I think before COVID, they have some like connections, collaboration with the online versions. But in COVID, it's like so massive, and like they come up to be some like environmentals to really connected each others artists. So, what the difference and how the remote collaborations online like this can push extend the artists, the knowledge, the cultures, and can we broke these methods after COVID? This still works or not? Please. Yeah.
Maybe it's more to you guys.
I don't know like what to call remote collaboration. I think just between us, okay, TERASIA Japan and Thailand, it's not like we had Zoom rehearsals. Like we had a meeting or maybe 2 meetings maybe, but we really handed over what we have to GOP, and it was in their hand. It was their freedom to do whatever with it. So I think from early on we kind of knew or felt that it's probably not going to work, as in like to make something, you know, entirely remotely or online. And I think that's mainly because in the end, a performance has a specific audience. And yeah, so I think that in TERASIA, it's not like we believe everything can be done remotely, probably the opposite. So the networking or the connection that we have kept this past 4 years, yes, it's online, but the creative process really happened offline.
Yes, and also when we have the script, and then at first I thought that maybe we can do it the same way that they do it in TERA Tokyo, and then when we found out that some of the script is not, the Thai people wouldn't understand, you know. Something to be very difficult to understand. So that is why we came up with the idea of doing the Thai versions. So somehow, like Maho said, the connection is like on and then off. It's more work has done on site. I want to show some of the picture of the almost very last of my slide. Do we have? Like we have to decide what to keep and what to let go and what to adapt. And then we have to kind of also consult with Maho many times about what the story is about, what is the idea of this and that, just to understand the concept of the original TERA. And that's why we keep that original concept into the work. And we can see a lot of thread from Tokyo to Thailand, many connections. And, but some are totally different, a new thing that's come up. And also this picture is the one that I want to mention about COVID. Because we have to place everyone like 1 meter apart. You know? And it's also became our way that we do blocking for our play too. So there are lots of space where the performer can walk through the audience. So that's become part of our performance as well. So I think like things always inspiring, always inspire. The COVID can be useful if we can work with it in certain way. Yeah.
Okay, you want some? Kayong mau nambahin sesuatu? Okay, we just close because it's 4, like 2 hours. We talking about the roundtable 1, site-specific performance and remote collaborations. Tomorrow we have roundtable 2, like post-pandemic art and transnational ecosystem with Kaku, Yudi, and Jola. Saya cukupkan sore hari ini seperti ini. Terima kasih Maho, Kop, Kak Iwang, terima kasih teman-teman semua yang sudah datang ke sini. Terima kasih teman-teman yang membantu. Sampai ketemu lagi di roundtable kedua besok. Tepuk tangan buat kita semua. Terima kasih. Terima kasih. Terima kasih.